Debate and switch. This debate didn't start with words. It started with a small but significant gesture. Kamala Harris confidently walked it up to Donald Trump and shook his hand. This is a simple move, but one that set the tone. For a man who prides himself on dominance, Donald Trump was caught off guard. The power play was set, and from that moment on, Trump wasn't dictating the terms of this debate. But let's not forget, Trump's team did have a strategy. The Trump team had planned to put Kamala Harris on the defensive. They wanted to portray her as too liberal and tried to tie her to Biden's economic record, and had intended to point out her reversals on issues such as the fracking ban that she no longer supports. Trump campaign spokeswoman Carolyn Levitt told the New York Post, "We look forward for the opportunity for Americans to see her on stage, incapable of defending her policies and flip-flops. The president's proven he has a command of the issues. She does not." They wanted him to hammer Harris on key vulnerabilities. That includes immigration, inflation, her flip-flopping on fracking, and gaps in her economic plan. Easy targets for a candidate like Trump, but there was a disconnect between strategy and execution. Instead of lining up these issues and shooting them down, Trump got distracted, lost focus, and found himself on the defensive. Harris was asked a tough question about immigration, and that was one of her weaknesses.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border security. We know it's an issue that's important to Republicans, Democrats, voters across the board in this country. Vice President Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America. We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
However, instead of answering directly, she threw a bait about crowd size, and Trump just bit for it.
And I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so? That would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border.
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there, and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing...
Like Hannibal Barca? No. Not that Hannibal, not Hannibal Lecter, but the Carthaginian general from the 3rd century BC, feigning retreat to lure the Romans into his trap. Harris knew exactly how to entrap Trump so that he would bite. Trump's obsession with crowd size was his Achilles heel, and she exploited it perfectly. The debate shifted from immigration to Trump defending his rally sizes. That's strategic combat at its finest. Nobody can know what another person is thinking, but we have signs. According to pool reporter Sarah Cook, right at the start of the second commercial break, Trump turned, blew out a big sigh through pursed lips, and walked off stage. Harris remained on stage writing notes. Harris's strategy wasn't just about baiting Trump. It was about showing the American people who she was.
So I was a middle-class kid. And I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America.
While Trump has always boasted about his wealth,
I'm very rich. I don't need anybody's money. It's nice. I'm really rich.
I'm the most successful person ever to run.
The contrast between the two couldn't have been more stark, and once again Trump took the bait in trying to defend his fortune rather than attacking Harris on policy. Trump's failure to capitalize on Harris's vulnerabilities, whether her incomplete economic plan, her flip-flopping on fracking, or inflation, was surprising but not unexpected. His strategy should have been to relentlessly hammer these points home. Instead, he flailed, getting derailed by distractions. Harris successfully used Trump's own tactics against him, keeping him off balance and forcing him to play defense. World War I-era French Prime Minister Georges Clemenceau once said, "Generals always prepare to fight the last war, especially if they won it." That's exactly what Trump did here. Trump's strategy of overwhelming his opponents with a flood of untruths worked in 2016. But this time he was prepared to fight an old war, and Harris came with a new plan. Trump has always prided himself on taking control, but when he tried to mirror Harris's famous "I'm talking now" moment from her debate with Mike Pence, it fell flat.
And I want to add, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
Yeah, you can
So
have
I
15 more
wanna-
seconds.
She went out. Wait a minute. I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
The strategy was clear. He wanted to regain dominance, but instead it felt forced and unnatural. In a debate full of moments, this one didn't land. And then came the moment that can only be described as pretty weird.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is
A baseless rumor from the fringes of the internet. And Harris's reaction? Disbelief and laughter. The moderator quickly fact-checked Trump, but by then the damage was done. This was a moment that perfectly encapsulated Trump's outdated strategy. Flood the conversation with as many lies as possible, but this time Harris didn't take the bait. When it came to reproductive rights, Trump resorted to a well-worn and widely debunked lie.
they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
Harris's strategy was simple but powerful. Speak directly to the women of America. She didn't need to attack Trump. Instead, she told heartfelt stories of women suffering under the abortion bans Trump had paved the way for.
One does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that.
She turned political debate into a personal plea, making it clear that this issue was about you, the voter, at home. Meanwhile, Trump stuck to his script, pushing outrageous lies that babies are being killed after birth. Harris didn't let Trump get away with his economic rhetoric. She flipped a weakness, Biden's inflation, into a strength. Her strategy was to remind the audience that Trump's tariffs were essentially taxes on middle-class families.
My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month.
While Trump offered tax cuts, Harris offered a plan for small businesses and first-time homeowners. It wasn't fleshed out, but at least it was something.
Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy.
And she named a professor from the Wharton School of Economics. Of course, Trump had gone to UPenn. Trump was rattled. Trump's campaign aimed to show that Harris was a left-wing Marxist out of touch with America's needs, but his failure to focus on key issues instead of resort to his usual tactic of flooding the debate with distractions, it backfired. His claim that Biden had weaponized the DOJ against him was a perfect example. Harris didn't even need to respond. The facts were on her side. State court proceedings, like Trump's in New York, aren't under federal jurisdiction. This time, Trump's 19th century military strategy of overwhelming the enemy with artillery shells of lies failed. In a debate about leadership, Harris delivered a striking blow.
It is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself. It is well known that he said of Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant. It is well known he exchanged love letters with Kim Jong-un. And it is absolutely well known that these dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear. They can manipulate you with flattery and favors. And that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace. That is why we understand that we have to have a president who is not consistently weak and wrong on
Vice
national
President
security,
Harris.
including the importance of upholding and respecting in highest regard our military.
While Trump tried to name-drop Viktor Orban, an authoritarian leader of a crumbling state of Hungary, it was clear who had won this exchange. Harris's goal wasn't to impress Trump, but it was to show the world and the voters at home that she had the composure and the respect that Trump had lost. Kamala Harris's main objective was to show that she could act and look presidential under pressure. Trump's was to show that she was a left-wing Marxist, but as the debate wore on, it became clear who had the upper hand. Harris was calm, composed, and in control, while Trump's frustration grew with every baited trap he fell into. As the dust settled on the debate stage, another major moment hit social media that took the political world by surprise. Taylor Swift, one of the most influential pop icons in the world, endorsed Kamala Harris. It's important to remember that Taylor Swift has a bigger following than all of jazz and all of classical music put together. Moments after the debate, Swift posted to her 284 million followers on Instagram declaring her support for the Harris Waltz ticket. The post wasn't just about politics, it was about values, rights, and the future. She wrote, "I will be casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in the 2024 presidential election. Harris fights for the rights and causes I believe need a warrior to champion them." And then Swift signed off, "Childless cat lady." Not so subtle jab at J.D. Vance's comments about women without children. Swift's influence is undeniable. Just last year, she single-handedly caused a spike of over 35,000 new voter registrations after a single post, and her latest endorsement led to 406,000 clicks to vote.gov, an astounding number for a brief social media post. But does that translate into votes? The Guardian reports that the Taylor Swift effect is small, but may just swing it for Kamala Harris. Most importantly, the data suggests that about 11% of U.S. adults can be persuaded by celebrity endorsement, and about 19% of young adults say the same. And that people that are newly interested in political issues or those who are typically preoccupied by other concerns, such as celebrity gossip, are the people for whom Swift's influence could matter. Meanwhile, Donald Trump wasn't as thrilled with Swift's endorsement. In a post on Truth Social, Trump wrote, "I hate Taylor Swift," an emotional outburst that only added fuel to the fire. And while Trump's team may dismiss the endorsement, data shows that every percentage point matters in this very tight race. In the end, Taylor Swift's endorsement represents more than just a celebrity picking sides. It's a cultural moment where the influence of pop culture intersects with politics. Harris may have won the debate on the stage, but Swift's endorsement ensures that Harris stays on voters' minds long after the debate ends. And for those crucial undecided voters, the Swift effect might be just what tips the scale. This debate wasn't just a debate, it was a strategic battle of two armies clashing on a modern-day battlefield. Like Hannibal, the Carthaginian general, Harris lured Trump into a trap, baiting him with crowd sizes and jabs at his wealth. And just like the Romans, Trump walked right into it. Harris may have won this battle, but the race for the swing states is still to come in this very, very tight race. And that's where the real fight begins. Thank you for watching this video. For more videos in this series, Decisive Days That Shook the 2024 Elections, look over here and like, share, subscribe. I'd love to see your comments below. And I will be keeping you updated with more videos in this very exciting and very tight race as we head into November. And I will see you in the next video.